Digitizing freight logistics. Joining us today to speak about that is Ethan Feldman, Senior Manager of Shipper Solutions at Loadsmart. Ethan, it's great to see you. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Let's set the scene, if you will, and let's talk about the challenges that you see, that you're dealing with, your customers are dealing with every day in the logistics space. What would you say?
There are a lot of challenges facing shippers and 3PLs in the domestic freight industry. If I had to choose a few, I would say the top three are price volatility. It's a very volatile market. Lack of visibility into carrier location and availability, and also a lack of affordable technologies for small and medium-sized business.
The problems you just outlined are things that have been around for quite a number of years, and we're still dealing with them. Let's talk about how we might tackle them. How is it that you recommend someone overcome them?
So the challenges have been around for a long time, but I think recently they've come into focus. And there are several ways that you can address these challenges. I think implementing technology across the board is a great way to start. There are a lot of new solutions that really touch every part of the domestic freight transportation transaction, from warehouse management, scheduling, pickup and delivery appointments, tendering and tracking freight. So looking at your entire operation from a holistic view and seeing where you can implement technology, I think is a great place to start.
So when I come to you as a potential customer and I say, look, I think I'm experiencing some of these issues that you just mentioned, price volatility, for instance, help me. What do I need to do? How do I go about assessing, my situation and what I need to do to deal with that? What are you going to tell me?
So I think that in order to understand the problems that you're having in your freight operations, it's important to look at historical data. So the first thing you want to do is create a network overview. Look at the last 12 months of all the orders and all the shipments that you've processed through your system. Create a diagram of the lanes that you move, the pricing, create a diagram of the lanes that you use, the pricing types on each lane, whether that be spot and contract, and get an understanding of where you're at to begin with. And then you can run an exercise to see, how can I optimize this operation, whether it be from a pricing or a service perspective. That's how we could start.
Well, speaking of pricing, I guess one of the important questions that I have to deal with, and you got to help me with this as a potential customer, is can I afford to digitize, to implement this type of technology in my enterprise so I can deal with these issues? I mean, what's it going to cost me?
So there are a lot of great solutions out there that are actually free. So there are multiple software providers, TMS providers that are now free, scheduling software providers that are now free. So if you're really tight on cash, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a roadblock to digitizing your supply chain.
I'm going to ask you, if you will, Ethan, to look into your crystal ball and tell us what you see as the future of logistics and supply chain. How do you see that developing? What's going on?
I think one of the main challenges that we've seen, and what has stopped people from digitizing their supply chain in the past, is the need to integrate with so many different parties. But the advent of integration middle layers, where one party will take on the responsibility of integrating to thousands of different carriers or thousands of different third-party systems. The advent of that technology allows new technologies and new players to come onto the scene, connect once, and get visibility across the entire supply chain. So I think that those middleware players will become much more important moving forward. And I think that AI is going to play a big role as well. A lot of people are overwhelmed by the amount of data that they have to review in order to understand what's going on in their supply chain. But with the advent of AI and a lot of the companies that are here at the Gartner supply chain, what they're working on, making it easier to understand your data, I think that's going to make a big impact moving forward as well.
Tell me about that briefly as you understand it, because of course I need to, I'm afloat, I'm awash in data. I need the right data if I'm going to be operating in an optimized manner. How is it that you see that AI is going to help me do that?
So I think that you need to have an infrastructure to collect data, and that requires more traditional softwares like ERPs and TMS, but it's about analyzing that data where AI can really make a big impact. So the natural language processing models that you see with companies like ChatGPT, you can apply that same technology to your vast pool of data and much more easily get answers about your supply chain.
Well, that's quite hopeful, I must say, absolutely. I want to turn now to Loadsmart itself, because if someone viewing the video today is not entirely familiar with the company, doesn't really know the name, give us a little idea about what the company's focus is, what does it do, how is it optimizing my operations if I come to you and become a client? What are you going to do for me?
Loadsmart is focused on simplifying the supply chain. So one space that we focus on is the TMS space. Loadsmart provides a platform called Shipper Guide, which allows you to quote and book and tender shipments and manage them from end to end. And what makes us different is instead of having a lot of different functionality and complicated features that people don't use, we really focused on the planning and execution part of that process.
Very important, utilizing the stuff that's there.
Yeah.
Very, very important. Ethan, I know you're busy here at the conference, but you found time to speak with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's Ethan Feldman, Loadsmart, speaking with us today about digitizing freight logistics. Thanks for watching.